Ladies and gentlemen, I feel vindicated today. And you're probably wondering, Mitch, why do you feel vindicated? What do you feel vindicated for? What's happened recently? Well, I'll tell you, and I guess I'm a little bit late on this, but to be honest, I don't really care, because this is a topic that I've spoken about on this channel for a very long time now, and to be honest, I haven't really talked about this much recently. And this is about domestic violence, the relationship between men and women, the battle between the sexes, things like that. I talk about these things, gender relations, gender politics. I haven't talked about it for a very long time now, and a big story has emerged, although I already knew certain details because they were released literally 1 or 2 years ago now, but I guess finally the normies have caught up on it, I guess. And this is to do with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp and their whole drama, their whole messy divorce that happened 2 or 3 years ago now. So this is what happened. A little recap for you guys. So Amber Heard and Johnny Depp got together, obviously, and they had what can be best described as a horror marriage. Johnny Depp had recently left his longtime wife of many, many years. I forgot her name. She was a French singer who sung Jolie Taxi, and so he meets Amber Heard. And she already has a very, checkered history, shall we say, with relationships. She's got baggage. And they get together, everything seems fine, it's romantic. I mean, obviously there's the age difference, but who cares? They're adults, right? And it's Hollywood. This just happened. Well, only things went bad very quickly. Amber Heard filed for divorce, and next thing we know, we hear about Johnny Depp is a domestic abuser. He's been abusing Amber Heard for however long their relationship lasted and their marriage lasted. He's a really violent person. He's evil. She was seeking to basically end his career as well while she was at it, because she made this very, very publicly. And as you can see in news articles at the time and the press releases and her public appearances, she was sporting bruises. She was sporting many things that you would assume were signs of domestic violence, making herself out to be, in the eyes of the public, the victim, as you would expect. But of course, domestic violence, much like a lot of things, isn't very simple. And lo and behold, a few years later, in fact, maybe about a year or so later after the divorce, after Amber Heard has already managed to get several big acting gigs, including Aquaman, where she's playing a co-lead role at the moment, and Johnny Depp basically lost one of his most revered characters. He basically was cast out of the role as Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean because Disney wanted to wash their hands of him, despite the fact that, honestly, apart from those few appearances and those bruises, there wasn't actually any evidence. For all we knew, it could well have been bruises from other things that he did not cause. But whatever. Nobody thinks logically and rationally when it comes to domestic violence or rape or anything really that happens to women. But surprisingly, Johnny Depp managed to get a few people to support him despite the media barrage against him, and despite losing few key roles, apart from Fantastic Beasts, was probably seeing his job prospects limited. People who knew him, people who liked him, rallied, and they weren't just fans. They were former wives of his. One of them was the very person I mentioned before. She could not believe that he did it. She refused to believe it. She went out of her way to say that he was never violent to her. He's not a violent person. That obviously something is going wrong here, and that was something that, to me, really put the first seed of doubt in my mind. I mean, never mind the fact that since being in the culture war and talking to MRAs, that really said something to me, because you would think she would want to bury him. You would think she would automatically believe Amber Heard, but she didn't. And it makes complete sense, because she knew him for the best part of many decades. She must have known him for at least 10 to 20 years. She was married to him, so she knows him better than almost anyone. She probably knew him better than Amber Heard. Next thing we know, a couple years later, maybe just a year, news broke out that Johnny Depp was actually also at the receiving end of violence from Amber Heard, who, as I've already said before, has had a checkered history in regards to relationships. In fact, I do believe that when she was in a lesbian relationship, she was also violent, but I guess we just don't talk about that area of domestic violence. That does not exist. Let's just concentrate on the heterosexual problem, apparently. These pictures came out, and these were verified, and I can't show you one of the pictures because I might get banned from YouTube. But basically, there was a story that came out when they had this really bad argument. I think maybe alcohol may have been involved, but one thing led to another, and Amber Heard, I believe, threw a glass or some kind of heavy object at Johnny Depp, which resulted in him basically almost losing his finger. This is the picture that I can't show you. As you can see in some of the new news articles, you can see him in a hospital bed with sunglasses on and a bloody finger. That is because she almost cut it off completely at the tip. He definitely lost his fingernail, and he definitely lost a lot of blood. It was pretty grim, what I heard, and that was another thing for people who had supported Johnny Depp against his attempted Me Tooing. This gave us further proof that something was not quite right. And now, lo and behold, this week, we finally get irrefutable proof from the woman herself that yes, she did indeed abuse him. In leaked audio, which I assume probably came from Johnny Depp's camp, we now find out that actually Amber Heard admitted to fighting him, to attacking him, to hurting him, and she admitted to basically hitting him with blunt objects, pots and pans, etc, etc. But the thing is, I wish I could say, I can't believe people just didn't believe Johnny Depp. I can't believe people jumped the gun and attacked him for their own political agendas, for their own irrational, emotional reasons. I wish I could say that, but I know better. I think a lot of the people who have seen this story just break for the first time can't believe it. They can't believe that they were wrong. They can't believe that Johnny Depp was actually the victim. Well, newsflash for you guys, men are at least half of domestic victims themselves, mostly victims of women attacking them. This comes as no surprise to me that people only now realise their mistake, only now realise that maybe they should be a little bit more aware of certain things that happen. They should look for evidence, they should ask questions, they should, I guess what we used to say in Gamergate, I know, Gamergate, right? Trust but verify. Listening and believing gets you nowhere. You cannot believe all victims because you don't know if they're actually victims or not. Finally, Amber Heard has been exposed, even though we kind of already knew she was a bit of a loose cannon, a bit crazy already. We already knew that she had issues. She has been exposed as the violent abuser that she is, and most likely Johnny Depp was only defending himself and perhaps got into a vicious cycle of violence, which it seems to me that they got into. He seems to suggest in the audio that he was trying to fix the marriage because they were getting to this spiral of violence. What's happened has happened and he's trying to fix it, but of course she probably doesn't want to be fixed. That's what it sounds like to me. She just thought she was probably going to hit him again. Well, I think that says a lot. If he's the one who's trying to fix it and she's the one who has doubts, then I think it was best for him to leave. But again, really hard for people, especially men. If you think women who are abused find it difficult to leave, imagine how hard it is for a man who not only has to deal with the strain and the violence, he may also have to deal with shame, mockery, because nobody would believe him, and people don't believe men. They believe women, but they don't believe that men can be victims as well. And it doesn't matter how big or how small you are as a man, you can be a victim. I've seen men who, they're bigger than me, they're double my size, who are domestic violence victims. Because if they hit back, they know that they will have the tables turned against them, even though it's in self-defense. The woman will claim she was the one who was victimized, and the police and the social services, or whoever it is, will believe her, and he will be the one in the police car, even though he's battered, bruised, probably barely conscious as it is, and he will be the one who will be tried and convicted of domestic assault, even though he didn't do anything wrong, he just defended himself. I just hope this story will finally wake people up. But of course, as you guys know, I'm pretty black-pilled on these topics. I'm not like a lot of the MRAs that I know who tend to be quite optimistic. They think they will eventually get through to people, that we will be able to, look at men in a more empathetic, a bit more of a sympathetic view. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I just think that we're too biologically hardwired to care about women more. I think people will always believe women more than they believe men, even though I think we shouldn't really believe either. We should trust and just wait and see if actually anything happened at all. But we're not going to do that. People will forget this. They constantly forget the lessons. How many false accusations happened during Me Too, only for probably a few others along the way to happen? I'm pretty sure that Pro Jared was actually post Me Too, and even he suffered from the irrational believe all victims nonsense. Even he fell as a result of that, and only after he could clear his own name after the dust settled. Not even during the actual drama itself, but afterwards he had to wait, like Johnny Depp, ages before he could clear his name for the dust to settle for people to listen to him. And until the atmosphere changes where men can actually come forward during the heat of the moment, I don't see anything changing. I don't see people learning from this. I see people going, oh, that was sad. Justice for Johnny. Hashtag justice for Johnny, which has been trending, and I'm glad that it's him that's been, the one who's bringing light to this. But we need another hashtag for all the other guys who have been in Johnny's situation, and I hope that Johnny perhaps can do something as well. Maybe Depp can start some kind of charity or some kind of drive towards more awareness of this thing, because I just don't think people are going to learn. They're going to forget. People will forget. Trust me, guys. People will forget about this. I won't forget. I hope that you watching this or listening to this, don't forget, but most people will, because normies are gonna normie, I'm afraid. Feminists will try their very best, as they have been doing, to bury this. People have been trying to make up excuses for Amber Heard, because remember, during the mattress girl situation, if anybody remembers that, there was a meme that came around from the social justice side, which is, there is no perfect victim. I mean, if you've got that kind of mindset, I guess nothing can convince you that maybe some people ought not to be trusted, that maybe men also deserve your empathy and sympathy. But hey, I don't know. I'm going on with myself now. I'm going to leave you guys to it. So until next time, been your boy, and I'll see you later.